Hi everyone, this is Devon from Devon's Spiritual Quest, and this is day 3 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. Here are my top 5 Oracle decks of 2016, and these 5 were all pretty easy to choose. I have a lot more Oracle decks than I do tarot decks, but these were really easy to choose from. The first one is the Sacred Rebels deck by Alana Fairchild. And this was my first Alana Fairchild deck, and it is still my favourite Alana Fairchild deck. And I have a few of them now. This deck I absolutely needed in my life at the start of the year. This was one of my stalker cards from this deck. And I was going through a time of difficulty. I had a lot of disappointments in my life. I was really struggling at the start of this year. And this deck got me through it. I feel it was very healing. I loved reading Alana's guidebook with this. I have used it for others, but this was a very personal deck that I used predominantly on myself. And I read the guidebook with this, also journaled with it to get the messages that I needed to hear from it, and did her little rituals that were also at the end of each card meaning. So this is still remains one of my favourite deck, and up until recently I would say this was my all-time favourite Oracle deck. But I'll show you my favourite at the moment at the end. This was a surprise deck for me. I was in Big W, which is a department store in Australia, and I was in the book section and saw this deck and bought it on a whim. But I absolutely love this deck. I love the artwork. And I use this to read for others. I get very clear messages from it. But my favourite thing about this deck is that when you lay out a spread from card to card, there's a very clear story that comes forth from it. And I actually use this for storytelling. I have used this as a storytelling game with my daughter, where we draw a few cards and we tell a story with them. And I find this deck also to be very accurate. The cards that you draw are usually spot on with the questions that you've asked, and the messages are really, really clear. So this was a huge surprise for me. This is the first Collette Reid deck that I bought, and I wasn't really planning on buying any until I got that one. So this is the Ganesha Tarot by Angela Hartfield. This I bought because I love Ganesha. I have a Hindu background. My grandmother used to tell me lots of stories about Ganesha, and they were my favourite amongst these stories and stories about Kali. And this deck is incredibly, incredibly accurate. I tend to normally draw 1 or 2 cards with this one, and that seems to be enough. It's a card that I draw as a theme for the reading. I use it for myself and others. I've used it quite a bit on others actually, and it's always very, very accurate messages from this deck. The next deck that's on my favourite list is a newbie, but I do love this, and I'm really looking forward to working with it more and more this year, and that's Ethony's Awakened Soul Oracle. And I watched this deck being developed, watched the artwork, and fell in love with it. At the moment, I'm just using it for daily draws for myself and using it for journaling and creative writing. But it's a deck that is very close to my heart, and I'm looking to use it more and more this year. And the last deck is a deck that's been on my radar for a while. I ummed and ahed about it and wasn't sure if I was going to get it. Then I wasn't sure if I was going to get the black and white or the colour copy when I saw the colour copy being released, and ended up getting one of the last black and white cards that's been printed. It's out of print now, I think. So this is the Wisdom Keeper's Oracle, and I am absolutely in love with this deck. There is no other deck like it. I only draw one card, either for myself and every now and again for others. This looks like my grandmother, and every time I've asked someone who does this look like, they have said who they think it is straight away. So it's not just to me, but to others in my family that it looks like her. The stories that goes with this are incredibly poignant, very moving. I've been in tears so many times reading the stories in this book. It's always a message that you need to hear. It's great for journaling, great for digging deep, great for asking yourselves questions. There are questions at the end of the story and end of the card meaning for you to journal with. I should have mentioned that this is the Wisdom Keepers Oracle by Rosy, Aronson. And I am going to get the colour copy as well because I absolutely love it. And I've used it so much since I got it that I'm starting to damage it. So I didn't want to keep using it. So for my birthday in Feb, I'm going to get myself the colour copy. So that's it, my top 5 Oracle decks of 2016.